Last week's question was, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? Mine would be bread. Alright, this week's question is, what is your favorite season? Have we done this before? Don't think. Anyways, we're doing it this time. So, what is your favorite season? Alright, so in my video about Thanksgiving, I mentioned I was making a stop motion and I'd be showing it within the next couple of videos. Well, I ended up getting it done before this video was made, which is why this video is so postponed. So, here it is.
Where am I?
You, sir, are in Thuringia. Here, let me draw you a map. Alright, so here is a general outline of Thuringia. Now, down here, you can see we have the Saal River, and then up here, we have the Unstrut, and then down along the western border, we have the Vura. And then in red, we have the mountains, which is east, and then generally south, and creeps up along the western border up to the north. And then plains, in green, we have generally in the center part of Thuringia, and at the eastern tip of the peninsula. And then the capital of Thuringia is right about at the center. Now, before we go on, I feel I should talk about the history of Thuringia. We'll start out with Thuringia being occupied by the Franks in 531 AD. Thuringia then became Catholic due to it being a missionary territory. But then after a while, the Franks lost control of Thuringia. Due to this, there was a war between the Wettin and the Hesse, which ended with the Hesse getting the western part of Thuringia, which didn't end up joining back, and the Wettins taking over the rest of it. However, the Wettin dynasty fell apart, thus Thuringia broke into a bunch of smaller states. Then, in 1520, during the Reformation, Thuringia changed from Catholic to a different Christian religion. Later, during the Confederation of the Rhine, in 1806, it was occupied by Napoleon. Then, in 1920, when it was finally under the control of Germany, it joined back into one larger state.
What's the government like?
To start, we'll focus on the federal government. Germany has a president. Now, the president has limited powers, due in part to prevent another Holocaust, and mainly is just there to represent interactions between other nations. He can be elected for a 5-year term and has a possibility for one re-election. Now, he is elected by two groups that meet solely for that purpose. The first group of electors is from the House of Representatives. Then there is an equal number, which is chosen by the state legislators. There is also then the Federal Council, which takes part in laws that only apply to states. Speaking of states, they must allow local communities to generally manage themselves. They really only get concerned with public matters, such as transportation and schools. Thuringia is run by two different forms of government. The first one being the CDU, or Christian Democratic Union, which focuses to apply Christian principles to public policy. The second one, the SDP, or Social Democratic Party, focuses on social change.
What's it like there?
Well, for their culture, they enjoy a lot of old structures and like to preserve stuff. Due to this, they have a large amount of bridges, which were required back then, and museums to showcase stuff. Some preserved things are mummies, furniture, jewelry, art. Aside from enjoying the old architecture, they also enjoy gourmet meats, one example being the Thuringia sausage. Now, the Thuringia sausage is highly spiced and uncured, and least 6 to 8 inches and about 3.5 to 5 ounces. The meat used to make it is pork, although it may be blended with veal or beef. The first step in making it is you have to trim off all the rind. Then, after it has been ground, it is seasoned with spices. The spices usually added are salt, pepper, garlic, and a few other spices. After that, the meat mixture is then piped into a narrow casing made of pig or sheep gut, though it is not packed as tightly as other sausages, but then the end is twisted off. Afterwards, it is partially cooked at 167 degrees and then sold throughout the streets at sausage stands. However, by law, 51% at least of the ingredients must be from Thuringia. Well, that's all I have on Thuringia.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, so if you're not sure who Nick is, I did this for German class, and we were working in partners, so Nick's my partner.